Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below, your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Launched in 2021, this is the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Datejust Palm Dial. The underlying model is not new. That was redesigned for 2018, but the green palm dial is a debut of 2021, and this reference in steel and white gold is 126234. So it's a 36 millimeter Datejust, very traditional. We've seen 36 millimeter Datejust since the very first one launched in 1945. It is 11.5 millimeters thick. It's 43.2 millimeters from lug to lug if we include just the lugs, but if we include the end links, the Jubilee Bracelet, then it's a somewhat broader 44.6 millimeters across the wrist with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now, this watch on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist wears beautifully. Winston Churchill had one. His wrist was 7.5 inches, which comes out to quite a bit more than mine. And it is the man who makes the watch, not the other way around. So don't worry, it's absolutely masculine and also historically literate to wear a smaller, more discreet watch on a large wrist. That said, the watch is also a unisex option, and the 36 millimeter Datejust and Date8 are among the most popular men's Rolex models among ladies who enjoy high horology. So the timepiece is beautifully fit, and it's also flat, so you can easily fit it underneath the cuff. No issues there. It works as a dress watch, but it's really an all-arounder, dressy and sporty in equal measure. When the watch bowed in 1945, it was born as a jump date 36 millimeter chronometer certified automatic, but it was also born with the Jubilee Bracelet, so named because 1945 was the 40th anniversary or Jubilee of Rolex's founding by Hans Wilsdorf and Alfred Davis. You can see here the bracelet is a combination of small polished links and then satin finished larger shoulder links. This is a modern Jubilee, which means you've got solid center links. It's quite robust. We have removable links fixed by screws and quite a few of them on both sides of the clasp. Because they have a short cross section, they have a wonderfully supple feel, and because there's so many gaps between the links, it vents the wrist better than the sportier Oyster bracelet with its three primary links. You can see that there's a conforming end link to better integrate the bracelet into the case. Then there's a little bit of a taper down. The outer faces are polished. We have a clasp which is polished on its center stripe, polished on its outer faces. It has satin finished channels flanking the center. It has a polished thick gauge single swing arm internal. There's a beak, which you can see here, and a hook, which you can see there. The two snap together, so you can't just pull it open. It's not friction fit. There is a lift lock system. It's spring loaded. You need to lift it to unlatch it, and you can see how it snaps closed. So that is quite secure. Taking a look inside the clasp, we've got two features for fine sizing, one of which is the Easy Link, 5 millimeters in and out. It allows you to make fine adjustments without resorting to a tool. And then if you do have a tool, a strap tool, you can see that there are 3 divots with little tracks leading into them. And you can use your strap tool to move the spring bar to change the anchoring point of the bracelet. And that allows you to fine tune the fit. So you have Easy Link, those 3 pairs of divots, and then removable links, so you're gonna get the right size. Oyster case, made famous in 1926. It was the first broadly marketed, serially produced, massively commercial, water-resistant watch case. 1931, Rolex invents the Perpetual rotor winding system, put the two together, and in 1933 the Oyster Perpetual is born. And the Datejust in 1945 added a date to the mix. That brings us up to the present. We have a water-resistant case, screw-down crown here, a twin lock, and a steel case. The little slash means it's a twin lock. 100 meters water-resistant, Oyster screw-in case back. We have a bezel that is gray gold. Quick note on Rolex watchmaking. Rolex has its own foundry. It makes its own alloys. It makes its own cases, bracelets, and clasps. So it's gold, when used white, is what's known as gray gold. White gold comes in 2 forms. Gray gold, which is white all the way through, an 18 karat, and then white gold, which is generally an 18 karat white that's actually quite yellow underneath and then needs to be rhodium plated. You can see this is a little warmer in tone than rhodium plated white gold. The advantage here is that you scratch it, it's the same color underneath, and it never needs to be rhodium replated. Rolex uses 904L steel, and while they're not the only ones in the watch industry to do that, they are the most prolific. This gives you greater resistance to corrosion, especially in the face of sea salt or body sweat, neither of which need to be washed off to avoid corrosion. 316 steel, by contrast, can corrode in the presence of salt. The dial includes 2 different materials. There is the dial base, which is brass, and then we have the hands, the logo, and the indices, which are white gold. 18-karat white gold. They won't oxidize or tarnish over time. This watch is fairly sporty, being primarily steel and with a loomed dial. It's a watch that mixes dress features like the double material and the Jubilee with sports features like the primarily steel construction and this loomed dial. Not every Datejust dial is loomed. This one features Rolex's lovely and proprietary chromolite blue lume. That's right, Rolex even makes its own lume. We have a Cyclops eye magnifier for the date. The watch has two subsidiary setting modes. You've got your hacked or stop seconds, so you can set the watch to a reference time, and then you've got a quick set just like that, so you can cycle the date if you wish to. Taking a quick look underneath the hood, we're going to have to create a mental picture of Rolex manufactured caliber 3255. The old 3135 jeweled staff rotor is gone, replaced by a ball bearing that is considerably more shock tolerant. And it's just as efficient. Now automatically winding, still in two directions, a power reserve of 70 hours rather than the old 48. It beats weight 8 beats per second. It pivots on 31 joules. The movement is certified as a Swiss chronometer. Rolex then cases up the movement and tests the finished watch in 6 positions, not the chronometer 5, to ensure it runs no worse than -2 + 2 seconds per day. That is the superlative chronometer standard. Long-time terminology on the dial, the last half-decade or so from Rolex, it has actually meant something concrete. Now, the movement features a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance for additional shock tolerance, and the micro Stella bolts on the balance allow for very precise tuning of the watch. It uses an overcoil hairspring so that with a more centered mass than a flat hairspring, it's less likely to beat fast or slow in different positions, giving the watch greater rate stability in various orientations on the wrist or your dresser at night. The hairspring is also made of a blue oxidized niobium zirconium Rolex calls parachrom blue that is highly anti-magnetic, meaning basically every Rolex watch that has that hairspring today is more anti-magnetic than the original Milgauss of 1956, and that was an engineer's watch. So this watch has a ton to offer in the modern era. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.